Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. I'm Dave Lott. Joining me tonight is Bobby Jackson. How's it going, Bobby?
Good as always. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. We are only 15 minutes behind tonight, so I am feeling good about this.
Yeah, every week we seem to be getting a little bit better. So, how can you complain when it's very hard to reach perfection in these things? I always feel like you never know once we start, but then we get into our groove once we've been able to actually go on air. It's just no one sees the technical difficulties beforehand. So,
Right.
it's always an adventure. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. As we continue to tweak our setup, and I keep making changes every week, and you, I think, are being very patient with me.
It's no
But
problem.
yeah, we're getting, I think, to a groove and a setup that is like, you know what? This works now. I don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
It'll be lovely. Anyway, for those of you new to the show, we talk movie, TV, pop culture news, movie and TV reviews. If you're watching us on Twitch, streaming on Twitch is a new avenue, a new venue for us. So we're also embracing that. We're doing a little gaming while we chat. For I am, and Bobby is watching.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can change that up at some point too. I want to watch him game, but we'll see.
That would be
Um,
interesting.
but yeah, here we are. It is Monday, March 31st, 2025. I didn't mention that in case you're watching us in the future. What's new with you, man?
You know me, I always at least try and sneak in a movie a week. So this week I did go to the theaters and watch the new Jason Statham movie. I think it's called A Working Man or something like that. Working Man. And it was interesting because this movie actually was co-written and co-produced, I guess, by Sylvester Stallone. So from what I'm hearing, this was a movie that he was actually going to do himself, but I think he had been working on it for so long that he's maybe aged out of the role, and Statham is still able to do his Statham things, and so he ended up being in this movie. And I will say, if you like Jason Statham movies, then you should go check this out. Don't expect anything to be above excellence level in terms of the movie you're going to get. I mean, it's a Jason Statham movie, so it's pretty much him doing the things that you would be able to predict he's going to do. It's the exact type of movie you think it is. You're not going to be surprised by anything that happens in it.
Hmm.
It's just if you want to go see Jason Statham beat some heads, then you're going to enjoy it. It's not something I think that you're going to say that you're coming out of it thinking, oh, that movie was deserving of a sequel or anything. Some of his movies, I do feel like, oh yeah, I could see this being a franchise for him, but not this one necessarily.
Hmm.
It does feel more like a one-off. I could see where they could do something more with it, and who knows? It actually did make 15 million at the box office this weekend, which was kind of surprising because I don't think I had saw any trailers or previews for this outside of seeing them in the theater. So I don't think I saw any commercials or anything for it. And so for it to come out and make 15 million and be number one at the box office for this week, and Snow White came
Snow
out
White.
last week and now it's number two. I just wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought that this movie would have came in around 8, 9 million, and Cinderella I keep calling it Cinderella. Snow White would have came out on top for a second week. I guess they are not probably happy with that. And I did see an article somewhere today saying that they expect the movie to possibly lose around 110 million
Ooh.
and plus. So yeah, they can't be too happy with the results there. And
No.
I don't know. I'm sure they can't wait for Lilo and Stitch to come out because I think they probably have a little bit more faith in that one that one will probably do a lot better. Unless who knows, the young girl playing Lilo comes out and says some things that people don't like, like a Rachel
Yeah, right.
Ziegler, which I doubt that however old she is, she's probably thinking on those terms. It's going to say something that
Right.
somebody's not going to like and boycott the movie. So I think they're safe on that one.
I think they'll be fine. But
Yeah,
hey, man, anything is possible.
right.
Uh, I guess I'll jump into this game while we chat. Um, by the
What's
way, do
this
you
game
ever
about?
Tiny Glade?
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Tiny Glade on my channel, and it's chill. It is,
Okay.
um, yeah, it's like basic. Sorry, I'm thrown off by like looking at more tech stuff that I'm like, oh wait, something's wrong. Um, but I'll fix that as we chat. Um, it is a diorama building game. There's really no goal. It is
Okay.
purely uh just building stuff. I mean, if you want to, this is the village that I've been working on my channel. Um, and yeah, you're just building and that's it. Like,
So there's no actual gameplay. There's no characters. There's
nope,
no.
there's no
Oh, okay.
characters.
Yeah.
And at first, when I first heard of this game, I think it was like not long after I got my Steam Deck, and I was trying to find some type of cozy chill game to play on it. I came across this, and excuse me, my first thought was, yeah, what's the point? Like, that's looks pretty, but why? But then I don't know. I watched other people play it, and I was like, okay, no, that seems pretty sweet. I have to try this, and it is. It's nice. Um,
Do a lot of people watch other people playing this game?
no, but I'm working to change that, Bobby.
Okay. I
No,
was just curious of like thinking if that's the objective. It feels like it's probably a niche kind of amount of people that would be into watching someone make dioramas of
right.
stuff. So especially unless of course you're chatting while you're also creating stuff. But
But I was going to start something new. Let's see. What should I pick? Should I do summer, autumn, old? I'm doing olden on the one I just showed you.
well, I'm
Flower. Are
thinking
you feeling
maybe go with
flowery?
no, I'm feeling
You're feeling
summery.
summery. Summer it
Yeah,
is. Oh wow! It
there
started
you
me
go.
with this like I don't know how loud that audio is, but
It's okay.
um yeah. Here we go. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know. It sounded like you were about to ask me something right before.
Oh, I don't know. I have not seen Snow White. You haven't either, right?
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Oh, you saw it.
Mhm.
Did we talk about that?
I thought we did. We did a show last week. I thought we talked about it.
Did you talk
Well,
about Snow White?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I did, but just if I did, then excuse me for repeating myself. But I liked it for what it was because, as I mentioned before on one of the shows and in past shows we've done, I never grew up watching a lot of Disney shows, Disney animated movies, and was just not into them as a kid. And by the time some of the newer ones came out, like around the time we got the Aladdins and Lion Kings and Little Mermaids and stuff, I was aged out, so I didn't watch those either, really. And so the old classics were pretty much lost on me. And the way for me to now sort of get a revisit of those things, or just for the first time viewing of them, is through these live action movies. And some have been better than others. And this one I felt like this one was okay. I didn't come away feeling like it was one of the better ones, but I also didn't mind it. I think it was perfectly fine, I guess, if I would say. There's music in it, and I don't know which songs other than the ones where the dwarves are singing hi ho, that one I recognized, and then there might have been one other one I recognized. And the others, I don't know if they were in the original animated movie or not, but um I thought they were. I thought they were decent songs. I didn't have any issue with it. The dwarves, the CG animation, I don't think I ever fully got used to it. I still
Mm.
kept looking at it in a odd way, trying to figure out what was going on there. Like, there is very much a bit of the what's that movie called? Polar Express? That sort of that
Oh,
uncanny valley look sometimes to them, just because you're just not used to seeing it like that. So, I don't necessarily think it was bad, it was just different, and I just my brain wasn't always able to kind of be on the same page with it. But it never was completely distracting, it never took me out of anything, it just made me just kind of wonder. And Rachel Ziegler, she was good. I think she's just always whenever she's singing, she's just really good. Even in that one movie that she was in, that was the, um, Hunger Games movie,
oh,
a
the
song
prequel kind of, yeah.
yeah, I can't remember the title, but she was good in that with the singing as well. She's just a really good singer, and as far as an actress goes, I haven't seen her in anything that I felt like she wasn't good in. I think she was good in this as well. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think the only parts that were kind of like maybe maybe where it came out of it just feeling like okay was some of the side stuff they had. Those there's some stuff with the guy who's sort of like the Prince Charming and his group of people that he's with. Some of that stuff felt kind of forced, I would say. And then there's the whole issue with Gal Gadot. I didn't find her
Issue.
as yeah, there was an issue in terms of other people saying she was not good in the movie, and I was gonna say that I didn't find her to be not good. I just think that she was doing what was told of her or told her what the director told her to do. And so she may come off kind of like she's hamming it up or really kind of amping up the emotional aspects for the character. And I think for some people that came off as being like she was not acting well, but I think she was doing it on purpose and doing it under the direction of the director. So I kind of felt like I understood what she was going for and what page she was on. So for the most part, I would say it worked for me, but still at the very same, when I compare what she's doing to what Rachel Ziegler is doing, then it's kind of more like you can see where she falls behind. But other than that, like I said, it was fine. It was not one of the better ones, but it wasn't bad at all to me. So I can understand if someone else out there who has more reverence for the original movie or just didn't care for this one the way it kind of hit them. I can understand that too because I could see how it falls on both sides, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think we discussed that. I did not know your thoughts on that. And if you
Hmm.
did, this proves that me gaming, playing Fortnite or Dead by Daylight while we chat does not work because apparently I don't remember any of that if you did talk about it. So,
Well, to be fair, it's as I was talking about it a little bit more, it did start to feel like I don't think that we did talk about it because there were certain things I was going into and I was talking about. I was thinking, I don't know that I remember saying these things before. So either I didn't talk much about it or I was just only we talked about it prior to me going to go see it that weekend. I know we definitely talked about the idea of seeing it, but maybe just didn't talk about it after I saw it.
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it. So, from my perspective, I'm going off, what I see in terms of like reactions on social media and news articles about it. And it was interesting because it's like, obviously, there's been a ton of kind of drama, controversy, I guess you could say, about the movie
Mhm.
before it came out. But then, like, as screenings happened and press were allowed to talk about it, I mean, correct me if you feel differently, but I felt like the reactions I was seeing was being like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. not as bad as we all thought it was going to be, kind of thing. But then, like, as it's actually been out in theaters to the public, I feel like most of the stuff, at least I'm seeing as I scroll the internet, is back to being very negative. Like, oh, it's basically crap. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm curious to see it myself. I like Rachel Ziegler. I like Gal Gadot.
Well,
But well,
no, I was just gonna say, someone I saw when I was looking at around to see what other people were saying about it, there was a suggestion that what could be happening is more influencers are going to these screenings ahead of time,
yeah,
and then they're the ones who are kind of giving the picture of these movies being better than they might be, because then once embargo lifts and the actual the critics that are more known to be doing this start to give their side of things, that's when it seems to be where that initial pop that these movies are getting drops off, because they're not saying as much, or they're not being looked at as much as the ones that are giving the positive reviews. And so I think the influencers are kind of having a little bit more to kind of push out the positive word for things in the beginning, and then once the critics and the typical pundits are giving their piece in a more of a think piece, or more geared towards Rotten Tomatoes, then we're starting to see a different picture. So it's hard to now trust those initial
right.
thoughts nowadays.
That makes sense. By the way, I don't know if you saw, you got a welcome to Sheepsville, Bobby, from Lido.
Oh,
Uh, the
what's
other village that I showed you when we started, the one I've been working on my channel, it has been dubbed Sheepsville.
why?
Well, as you may have already noticed, there's no people in this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm making a Sims kind of situation, or I keep thinking of, the amusement park game, like, where, you're building, rides, and suddenly there's just people walking around riding rides. It's not like that.
Okay.
But there are animals, as you can see. There's, if you have water features, ducks will show up. But
Oh.
mostly it's sheep, like this guy right over there. And I
Oh.
can pet them.
Oh,
They make sounds. Um,
that caught me off guard.
so my other town has now been dubbed Sheepsville. I don't know what name this one will get,
Oh,
but
okay.
uh,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for the welcome.
Yeah. So
It looks more like like it's spring than summer, but
I guess so. Yeah. Sheepsville Part 2. Yeah, maybe this will be
yeah.
Sheepsville Part 2.
Somerville, Springsville. So
Yeah.
it's like interesting how you can kind of just go along with it. Who do you know who created this game? Or do they have other games that they've done like this, or is this like a first for this studio
Oh,
or whatever?
I don't know
Hmm.
who created this off the top of my head. I would have to look it up. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because you
Um,
said you saw someone else playing it, and was it just happenstance that you found this, or did you know of the game and you looked for people who were actually playing it to kind of
I
get
think
into it more?
I think I came across it first in Steam, like
Okay.
basically searching like cozy games. And that's when
Oh,
I first saw it. And that's when I first was like, that looks beautiful, but why? And then I think the YouTube sorry, algorithm randomly threw, maybe I probably did search Tiny Glade at some point, and then maybe I forgot about it. And it was like weeks later that YouTube randomly threw out at me a Tiny Glade video in my recommended,
hmm,
video section, for you page,
okay.
if you will, and ended up watching it. And it was like a 30-minute review of the game. And this guy very quickly threw together, way faster than I'm working right now, very quickly threw together like a little village. And I was like, wow, this actually could work for me. So, um, yeah, that's when I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's like a $15 game. It's not expensive.
Okay.
I was like, all right, I got to give it a shot. And
You
I've
know
been
how
pretty pleased so far with it. Also, you get these like I mean, I haven't built much yet, so there's not much to go off of, but there's
yeah.
already kind of like a lot of, yeah, well, I can't use the words, depth of field
I
going
kind of
on
knew
with like
that's what you were about to
with the
say.
shots, especially
Yeah.
when you go into this like photo mode and it
Oh,
has
that's
this
cool.
very cool look about it.
Yeah, it does.
It looks better once there's more built and more to go off of, but it's sweet. Like they did a really good job of this game.
So let's say do you only have this grassy area? Can you cut down trees if you needed more area to like
Yeah.
build or
So like, I don't know, you probably noticed like right when it started, it was basically just this water pond thing
yeah.
going on with
Mhm.
trees everywhere. I cleared out all these trees to make this
Okay.
grass area. You can see there's like a dash line right there.
Hmm.
And that is my boundary. I can't
Oh,
build
got it.
past that. So
I
basically
see.
there's a square that I
Okay.
can work with.
Got it.
But
It's
that's
like real
it.
estate.
Yeah, there's really beyond the wall, if you will. The camera I can kind of move out here, but
The
I can't
White
do any.
Walkers
Yeah, there's White Walkers out there just
beyond the
waiting.
wall.
That'd be kind of sweet if like for Halloween they did like a zombie like theme mode where suddenly like zombies just start coming out of the forest.
That would be kind of cool.
I would be down with that.
Yeah. No, that'd be kind of cool.
I'm gonna
I don't know if you know what this week is. I know you're not always as in tune to the news as I am,
the
but
finale of White Lotus this coming. I know
that's
that.
true. There is that. But think bigger. uh,
This week.
yes.
This week. I don't know. You're gonna have
It
to fill
is
me in.
CinemaCon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today was the first day of CinemaCon, which, for those who don't know, it's where theaters across the United States, I don't think it's across the world, but I think it's definitely across the US, gather together in Vegas, and all the studios, or at least most of the studios, will come and present a lot of the stuff that they have coming out this year to get the theater exhibitors excited. And it helps them to determine how many theaters they're going to play certain movies in based on how they do their bookings once these movies are available to be able to be shown in theaters. So this is that week where all these different presentations will be done by the studios showing what they have coming up. Today, I want to say today was Lionsgate, but I could be wrong. I didn't double check the schedule. I just know that one of the reasons why I brought it up is that one of the bigger ones should be tomorrow, which is Warner Brothers. And there's expectation that they will be showing some Superman there. So not only will they be showing some footage from Superman there, more than likely they will be showing Superman footage there. There's also a rumor that they will be dropping a new trailer for Superman tomorrow, which I don't know just yet if I believe, because tomorrow is actually April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. And so I don't
I
know.
forgot tomorrow's April 1st. Ugh,
Yeah, that's
that's
what
the
I
worst.
hate looking at my news feed on.
Exactly. It's the worst.
It really is. It's like they wanna give you something that sounds so true that it makes you wanna believe it, and sometimes you do, and then you find out that it was just an April Fool's joke. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that doesn't ring true for tomorrow, at least with this Superman trailer, because I'm looking forward to seeing it. And my policy is typically I'll watch one. thing and then I'm out. I don't watch multiple trailers or different versions of the trailers and stuff like that. Just want to see one just to get my feet wet and then I'm done. Well, this one, on the other hand, I actually feel like I will go ahead and watch the second trailer for it, and then I'll be out after that. I won't watch anything more, but I feel like because of that first one, it was classified as a teaser, and I do feel as such because other than, the part where Superman tells Krypto to take him home,
Hmm.
that was the only actual speaking part in that entire teaser, so I'm hoping that if we do get this trailer tomorrow, that it will go a little bit more into the movie itself. And there's been rumors about people who've seen a screening of it, the most recent screening, talking about the movie itself. Um, which when I heard what they were saying, it's interesting if it is that way. And have you heard any of this? What I'm talking about?
So as soon as you brought up Superman, that my I went ahead and stored that like plan in the back of my head to ask you like, okay, so have you been hearing about like the random like the screening that apparently has happened like to random? I know there's apparently been like in studio screenings for a
Right. Yeah.
while, but this was like evidence of that sounds like there was the first like random fan screening.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and I think all I saw, and I don't remember what blog, what website it was, what news site, um, was kind of saying something along the lines of like they did talk to a couple people that were in the screening and they didn't have great things to say about it. That's what I read.
Well, I've read a little bit more, maybe a little bit more than you, but um,
Hi, iced coffee, by the way.
um, so interesting, huh? Okay, let's do it this way. For anyone that's watching right now and anyone that's listening that doesn't want to know anything about the movie, and granted, I'm not going to talk about anything spoilery, but just the overall tone of the movie, then tune out for like the next minute, just for to keep yourself fresh about it. All right. With that being said, so from what I've seen of what people are saying, they're saying that the movie feels like it's doesn't
Um,
have an actual story.
we're talking about
And
Superman, the new super.
yes,
I'm
the
talking
new
to the
Superman.
our commenter there, our chatter. But yeah, new
Okay.
Superman. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the new Superman. So they're saying it doesn't have an actual story and it feels more like it's episodic within the movie itself. Like he's going around. Okay, this is the best way I can describe it based on based on what I've seen. And they're saying that like how the original Superman was with Christopher Reeve and the 1978 movie,
Yeah.
where in the beginning you see him going around doing little things like he saves the cat from the tree and then he foils the bank robbery and he's like doing little things around the city where he's helping out and not really doing anything other than being Superman and kind of just being a hero around Metropolis. And then it gets into the stuff with Lex Luthor and all that stuff. Well, from the people who were described as seeing the movie, they're saying it's more like that, where he's just going around doing Superman things and not a real like actual story
Like
per
there's not
se.
a like an overarching like plot yet, at least not in the first part of the movie.
Yeah. Or I don't know if they saw the whole thing or if they saw part of it, but from what was described, that's what they said. Well, it was just
Right.
like him going off and doing different things throughout different parts of the movie.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to take that. If that's the case. In one way, it's like I could see how it could work, but it would be very strange in a way just to have it done that way where there's no actual overarching story. So it would be
Mm,
very different.
it's interesting.
Yeah. That's what I said. It's interesting. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's good. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I a potentially upsetting view for you. I think DC has been wasting their time trying to match Marvel's success. Uh, yeah. I
well,
mean, well, go ahead. You speak first, Bobby.
no, I was just going to say that I do understand that desire because if you're from the point of view of the executives and you're at Warner Brothers and you're seeing all the potential money that's there to be made that you see Marvel doing, and they've come out after Marvel's had their success, then their initial aspects of what they're trying to do is say, okay, we got to catch up. And so they're unfortunately it feels like they're letting that lead their way as like, oh, we got to catch up, as opposed to just kind of saying, let's tell good stories, and by doing good stories, this will give us to the runway that we need to be able to get to the point where we're right there neck and neck with Marvel.
Right.
I will say that based on where Marvel is today, they have more of a chance than ever to be able to be um go past where Marvel is because they're starting fresh and they have to put their best foot forward. So hopefully with the Superman movie, it actually turns out that way. I love Marvel, I love DC, so I want to see both succeed and not one over the other. I
Right.
want to be able to say, "Oh, I got a good Marvel movie, I got a good DC movie," and go back and forth and just be able to just enjoy it all. So I'm hoping and got my fingers crossed that James Gunn succeeds because so far I don't really know that I can say that I've seen a bad James Gunn product. I've liked Peacemaker. I liked his Suicide Squad. I of course liked all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So for me, he hasn't done something bad. So I'm hoping this doesn't begin that trend. So
Right.
um, I do think that they are in the back of their mind trying to play catch up, but I'm hoping that James Gunn is more focused on let's just put out good stuff. If you build it, they will come. So that's where my take is. And you were going to say something to do though, David.
First, I was going to read, you can make that wall perfectly level, by the way. I guess when I was attempting to make like arches using the wall tool. Yeah. I think I realized I didn't feel like it.
What?
But
Oh, so you were
maybe
being lazy building your house? Oh
I
no,
was trying to do
your
this,
castle.
and I could definitely like, unless I know, I think to make it, because if I do this, it'll change. I gotta zoom out here. Um, it'll change, you know, that because of the ground is at a slant.
Oh,
It
I
does
see.
that, but then I can like cut and make it like separate pieces.
Oh,
And I'd have to like cut again. But see, if I cut again, it does that. That's can't have that. That looks
yeah.
terrible.
What was
Um,
that? That
well,
did not
like
look good.
when it like you does the cut, it'll automatically like see. And I don't like the way those arches look.
Are they
I
not
did
supposed to be even those arches?
not
Like one is
necessarily.
supposed to kind of.
Well, they're doing this. I mean, no, like it definitely. This game doesn't veer toward like, at least not with that tool, toward like perfection, if you will.
Oh, so it's not supposed to be necessarily uniform.
There's a simpler way. I need to know the simpler way.
Mm,
Um. Anyway, so I decided to not do this wall.
got it.
I'm just gonna, unless there's a simpler way, please share. Going back to DC, I
Mhm.
don't disagree with anything you had to say, so I don't really have anything to add. Use the paint tool, select the wall. All right, I'm gonna do this. Do, 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 do. All right, using the paint tool. That guy. Oh, that. Hey, look.
Mm,
Hey, I didn't know this.
wow. That was simple.
That was simple. All right. Now I'm gonna try it here.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Um, look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
And then look at that. Man, you learn something new every day.
That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I love this game so far. I need to dabble in it some more. That does look kind of nice. See? Thank you.
It does.
That is the other thing. If there is something about this game, going back to like what's the point? If anything, I think maybe the point is just figuring out how to accomplish certain things with the restrictions that this game gives you. And just learning little quirks like that. Like I didn't know until I watched somebody else, and I had already played this game a decent amount. I mean, it's not nighttime right now. I can make it nighttime. But I didn't know you could change the color of the lights. I was like, what?
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and the brightness. I didn't know that till like a couple days ago. Anyway, it's stuff like that like you very slowly figure out how to accomplish certain designs using maybe a tool that you wouldn't think to use, like that. Like I used the wall tool to make these like supports, which I need to change the color of. But yeah, stuff like that. If anything, I guess for me, that's kind of almost the point. Of course, I'm changing the color and it's dark and it's hard to tell what it really looks like. So I'm going to go back to daytime.
Ah.
So yeah, no, going back to Superman, I don't really have anything.
Oh yeah. So also, there is. I will say, if anyone is interested in some of this DC news, and specifically as we're talking about Superman, be careful what you look at out there, especially if you're on X or any kind of the social media platforms, because there is some spoilers from apparently that screening that are
Really?
out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I saw one,
Oh, did you?
and I did. I won't say that it felt like it was a major spoiler, even though it is kind of, but
Okay.
it's not like it didn't affect anything in terms of like me feeling disappointed that I knew that. It's kind of like, oh, okay, interesting,
Hmm.
but I'll leave it at that and then just say, yeah, there's definitely stuff out there. So just be careful if you're looking around.
That's too bad.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's one of those things where they might actually, you know, how lately they've been putting a lot of things where you might think that they're spoilery in the actual trailers and commercials because they're like, hey, we need you to come see this movie. So even though this kind of could be something that would be a nice surprise if you watched it in the theater, we want you to
Mm-hmm.
actually come. So we're going to put this in the trailer. It might be one of those things. So I don't know that they won't themselves kind of put that out there just to bring people in. Although I don't know that this particular thing would maybe make a difference in that nature, but it is something that I would hope that they won't do, but we'll see.
Right. Oop. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think all I saw was the kind of just random, kind of quick comments about
Mhm.
the movie. I think, again, thinking back to that, there was like talk about like the humor not really working for them.
Seen that.
But I didn't really read beyond that. So
Yeah.
I luckily have not seen spoilery kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which will be upsetting if I come
Yeah, yeah.
across.
I hope you don't. But I think that aside from Warner Brothers being there tomorrow, the other one that's going to be there that'll probably be a decent enough presentation will be Disney when they're there. I think they are there on the last day, which is Thursday, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no real aspects of what they feel as though that they'll bring other than maybe Lilo and Stitch and then Thunderbolts as a strong possibility. I'm sure they'll have other stuff. They'll probably have some Avatar since that's out at the end of the year, and that would be one that exhibitors would definitely wanna be able to see something of. So, I will be curious to hear the news from Thursday's presentation with Disney. And then the other one I think that I'm kinda curious to hear about will be that they are screening in its entirety How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version.
Oh, okay.
So, they will be able to post about it and talk about it in detail, and I'm gonna be kinda curious as to what the people think that actually went and saw the whole thing. So, I don't know what day that is. It might be Wednesday, but either way, look for that in terms of anything that might come out this week about that movie.
Good to know. Good to know. I'm looking forward to that, I think. Even though like I do fall in the camp of why I fall slightly in the camp of why are we making a live action version of this, you know? Um, but it does look good. So
Yeah. I I kinda like seeing live action versions of stuff I've seen. I know people typically don't, and I get why,
mhm.
but I kinda just like to see how they do it, how close they can make it look like the original version that everyone probably loved. So, they kind of exist as 2 separate things in my mind, and if it ends up being bad, then it's just like I just kinda write it off, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I'm just kinda curious as to see how well they can do it, and this will be DreamWorks' first live action version of one of their classic new classic, I guess, movies in terms of How to Train Your Dragon. So, I don't know how many more that they have that they could actually do this with based on their library of stuff. I mean, I doubt you'll see a live action Minions or anything like that, but you never know.
All
Sometimes when
right.
something becomes successful. Oh, as I say that, did you have a chance to watch The Studio? Oh
Oh man.
no. Uh,
I've been dying to watch it. I'm really
well, I'm glad I
excited.
didn't spoil anything.
For some reason I'm very excited about that show, even though there's plenty of other things I need to be watching. But I guess I'm not excited enough because I've not watched it yet. But no, I want to see the studio.
Okay, then I won't say anything yet, but
I
yeah, it's
saw
very
I
good.
like I alluded to earlier, I've seen White Lotus. It's like the one thing I'm up to date on. But
Yeah, I think
are you caught up with that?
yeah, so they
Okay.
had 2 episodes that premiered last Wednesday. I think it comes out every Wednesday.
Oh, with the studio.
Eh,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
the studio. Oh, and I'm caught up on White Lotus as well.
But
But
this going back to the studio.
yeah, with the studio, it's one of those things where I think that if you have any kind of insight into Hollywood and movies and or into movie news and stuff like that, you would probably learn a decent amount from watching that show because it really does feel like they're pulling back the curtain on how movies get made and the process that they have to go through and how kind of horrible it seems like it is as a job to be a studio executive, especially if you're looking to make a certain type of movie. So I would suggest it if you're into that kind of thing. If not, I don't think it would be for you. It might be too inside baseball, but I like it just because I do feel like I have a little bit of insight into that world. So for
Right.
me, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. But it's definitely not for everyone.
I'm looking forward to it. And I've heard, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I've heard that there's a certain, I guess, aspect to one of the 2 episodes, which I am super curious to see.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was going to tell you about, or I was gonna send you an article about it actually.
okay.
But yeah, you hadn't seen it yet, and I didn't even know if you knew about that
This
aspect,
was
so I
at,
didn't want to do it.
you had told me there was something you wanted to send me. and you asked if I'd seen it yet, and once I hadn't, you held off. It was after that I came across a news article that I'd only read the title, but based just off the title, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Now
Yeah.
I was already curious to see this show, but okay, good to know.
You probably saw the same article that I was going to send you, which is basically goes into how they pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we
Well,
want
it
the
looks like
roof
iced
there?
coffee. Is that something I can't quite see the print on
Oh,
my
which one?
screen? Because
A potentially upsetting view for, oh, that one? We already
yeah.
read that one.
Okay.
You can make the wall perfectly level. Use the paint tool. You're welcome to this game. I don't mind spoilers if you want to talk about it, but we were avoiding spoilers on Superman. So I don't want to. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about spoilers because
And
it's
yeah,
not even out
exactly.
yet.
Yeah, exactly. I know that even if you don't mind, I know David likes to not know certain things, so I do it for him as well. So I just figure I can try and dance around it as much as possible. So that's
Right.
why. But
Thanks. That would be great.
oh, did you see the news about House of the Dragon?
It started shooting today, did it not?
It did, or at least this week. That's why I imagine it. Well, today is Monday, so yeah, I guess it probably started today. Um, so the news about it, they had a couple casting announcements from it. I think what Dan, what's his name? Last name Fogelman,
Oh yeah, the
Fogel.
guy who you walked up to at Dragon Con.
Yeah, at Dragon Con, exactly. He's cast in it for this season, and then another guy who I know don't remember his name, but he's in so many different things. He always plays. Oh gosh, I want. Don't kill me if I get this wrong, but I think he's usually Scottish. Um, and he has the scar across his face. He was in Braveheart, I think, and he's been in a ton of stuff. He might have even been in the oh gosh, I can't think of the name of that movie. The what's the one music theme that people always play? That's I think it's an Irish song. I don't know, but it's the oh see now I'm gonna have to just look it up because I hate I hate when I
See,
can't think
I'm
of
trying
stuff.
to find the article that you sent earlier. I'm doing that right
Oh
now.
well, I'll just
But
find it easier if I look at IMDb just because um, I know that I can probably find his name easier that way. Let's see here.
Mel Gibson?
If I can remember that name, then I'm in a little bit of trouble. Hmm. Tommy Flanagan.
Okay.
Does the name sound familiar?
No,
Let's
it does
see
is not.
if I can think of that other movie that I'm trying to remember that I thought he might have been in. Boondock Saints. I
Oh,
don't know if he was in that, but that's the other one I was trying to think of. I know he was in Sons of Anarchy, but I don't think you watched that show.
no, I never did.
Oh, he was in Gladiator as Cicero.
I would be very upsetting to Carlton. I think he's a fan of Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, it was a good show.
I was trying
Anyway,
different things
so
here.
what I was going to say about it was that while the news was good that it started filming, I
Yeah.
think I was under the impression it had already been filming. So, like, oh no, if it's
You're
only just
like,
now filming,
what? We're just getting started.
yeah, I was like, that means that we probably won't get it until later on, sometime next year.
I mean, I think that was the plan all along.
Was it?
Um,
I didn't even remember that.
yeah, so I think the idea now is that we're getting a season of House of the Dragon 1 year, like we did last year, and then this year we're getting that new Game of Thrones spinoff.
Hmm.
The night, I forget. I remember what
Hmm.
the name of the book is called, and I can't remember what they called the show. Night of the
Right.
Seven
I know which
Kingdoms.
one you're talking about.
I think it's Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think.
That
Anyway,
sounds very familiar.
um, so we're getting like that spin-off show to the spin-off this year, and
Right.
then next year we'll get a season of House of the Dragon again, and then so
Okay.
on. I think that's the idea. I don't know if HBO officially like said as much, but I think that's pretty much the deal.
Hmm.
I like the look of this wood little thing I built, but I don't know that it really makes sense.
Well, I was about to say something about that because it's interesting that there's that balcony, but there's, I guess, what someone would just open the door or open the window and step outside of the window to go
Well,
into
when I
that.
decided to put this here, I was thinking I would change this to a door.
Ah, okay. All right.
This is like the smoker's loft thing. Like, you just need to
Yeah.
step outside for a moment.
Could you
Um,
imagine if they actually cared about such a thing back then? Oh, I don't want to
right.
bother inconvenience anyone inside the castle. I'm
Inside the
just gonna
castle.
take I'm gonna
Step
take
outside
my
for
smoke
smoke.
outside.
All right. Maybe it doesn't make sense. But do we like Andor? Oh yes. I mean, I'll
We
speak for
definitely
myself,
like
and
it.
then Bobby can speak for himself. But yes, I love Andor.
Yeah.
I've heard it said that Andor is the greatest thing, that the best thing by far that Disney has done post, or basically since they took over uh, Star Wars. And I would to that say I really liked Rogue One, which basically is in this same little mini part of the universe as Andor. But no, Andor is great.
That's interesting. How do I feel about that statement? I would say for me, Andor, since Disney had acquired the Star Wars property and Lucasfilm as a whole, Andor is the best written thing of Star Wars that's come out. And but I wouldn't say it's the best thing. For me, I feel like the best thing, I would say for me, it's still Force Awakens. I really
Hmm.
love that first movie. Um, just because it really
I don't
felt
remember.
like
I don't know
Star
that
Wars
we've
again.
really talked about this in a long time. Yeah. Huh.
I mean, because
I
that incorporates everything that I love about Star Wars for me in terms of um you got Jedi, you've got Han, you've got Leia. It's still an empire-ish thing going on there. I don't know. It's for me, it just like it felt like okay, we're back stepping into that world again, and it just gave me good feelings and thought like, here we go. This is going to be the start of something really great now. That and I thought like they did a great job with that first one, and I know a lot of people had some issues with it repeating themes of like a Death Star and certain things like that, which I don't disagree. But overall, I still came out of that movie feeling like, all right, we're back. Here we go.
mhm.
And then, obviously everything else that happened afterwards. But I feel like that was my favorite thing in this Disney era of Star Wars.
No, I guess I really I brought up that statement because I've heard that statement a lot, but I
Mhm.
don't. I guess I haven't thought a lot about how I would answer it myself. And it's funny because I reacted to what you said about Force Awakens because I feel like that's not a very common take, but I'm with you. Like I was very happy with the Force Awakens. I thought it was great.
Mhm.
but then, like you said, everything that happened afterwards for me kind of soured that whole trilogy.
Yeah.
And I hate giving that kind of quick even conversation about the Disney trilogy to anyone who's never heard us talk about it, because there's nuance there, and but yeah, it's got issues overall.
It
But
does. It does.
it does. But I don't know. I guess if I had to say I think Rogue One might be my favorite thing that they've done. I
I
think
can see that.
I enjoy it ever so slightly more than Force Awakens, and um, yeah, then attached to that, Andor is basically right there with it. But I love Rogue One. For a movie that apparently had such a flawed like production in
Yeah.
terms of I guess whatever issues was going on there with the director and what have you, but
I would say my order, if I had to do, I don't even know if I can do a 5. Maybe I can do 4. It would be The Force Awakens. Then second would probably be season 2 of Mandalorian. Then the third would be Andor, and the fourth would be Rogue One. And then maybe fifth would be season 1 of Mandalorian, I guess. So, of
okay.
all the things Star Wars that have come out, that'd probably be my top 5.
Okay. Ice Coffee said, I feel that too. Andor and Rogue One were great. I enjoy the serious undertone of each. The rest are all chaotic and senseless with unfunny, awkward humor. And I get that.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Yep.
I agree. Something well, and I think that's probably one of the more frustrating things for me is that in any of these things that have come out, I can see good elements within them. There's certain things I like within them, and we've talked on our YouTube channel about them when as they were coming out and reviewed a lot of them. And there'd be like these good things about it, but then as more episodes would come out, it would start to go downhill. Some things didn't work. Like Ice mentioned, is a lot of the awkward humor that would come out in some of this stuff. It was just like it was just not well done. And so it sours the entire thing. You forget that there might have been good moments of some of these things because overall you're left feeling with this feeling of like pointlessness that you just watch this thing and it just kind of fizzles out. So a lot of the Disney Plus aspects of what they've done just has not turned out well. Even with something like the last thing that they just had, which was the oh, I can't even think of the name of the show, the Space Kids.
Oh,
Um,
Skeleton Crew.
yeah, Skeleton Crew. Um, that worked mostly to me, even though I didn't, I had issues with that main kid, Wim, I think his name
Yeah.
is.
I can't remember his name at all, but I know you had issues with him.
Yeah. Overall, I did like what it was trying to do and just seeing a different aspect and seeing different planets and stuff like that, I thought was nice, but still, I feel like it it still was missing something for me, and so I think that's been, the the prevalent theme throughout a lot of this stuff. It's always been missing something for me. It just hasn't quite hit the spot. And I feel as though they're still trying to find their way. Even now, there it doesn't seem like we know really other than The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is coming out this year or maybe next year. I think
I
next
think
year.
it's next year.
Yeah, that's all we really know that we're getting from them. And that's only just an extended season of a show, and so they're counting on the fact that that will probably do well for them because the show was doing well for them up until maybe the last season where people wasn't really feeling it. But
Right.
I think they would still go and show out for the movie. So that's like really the only thing that they have, and they have all these ideas for things. You keep hearing them in the news, but as soon as you hear about them, it feels like they get buried or canceled, and so it's hard to rely on anything, and it just makes it kind of disappointing when you're a big Star Wars fan that you don't seem to be getting the same level of treatment and care that they put into other things. And hopefully that's turning around. It's obviously once Bob Iger came back and took over from uh, Chapek, that it was going to take a while to reverse the ship or to turn the ship because he already had a lot of things in motion and a lot of those things had still been just coming out. And so we don't really have anything, I feel like, under Bob Iger that wasn't already being done or produced when Bob Chapek was there.
Hmm.
So it's still kind of like a wait and see game, other than maybe I think this Mandalorian movie, but that's still again something we already kind of know that exists. And it's like, what is that next big movie that they're going to actually do out of the ones that they've mentioned? And will it actually hit for everyone? And that remains to be seen.
Uh, oh yeah, I was gonna say. I was trying to think of what I was gonna say to that, but then I forgot I was gonna point out the comments about Solo.
Mm,
Also, I can't believe I
mm.
forgot about this one. Solo was great. Solo stands out in the best way possible. I can't remember, Bobby,
Did I
your
say that?
thoughts on Solo.
Yeah. Okay. So let me redo my top five. And then I would say
Oh,
The
you're
Force
gonna.
Awakens.
Okay.
Okay. And then number two would be Mandalorian season two. And then
Okay.
three would be Solo.
Oh,
Eh,
okay.
yeah. And
So
then
you
for
enjoyed Solo more than I
I
remember.
I did. I really enjoyed Solo. I know a lot of people don't and forgot about it. I just forgot about it until I said something. But I love that movie, and I really go to bat for it a lot of times. So, yeah, that one to me is, I think, was a victim of scheduling more so than anything because that came out in May or something around that time, around May May the 4th or within that month, and they were trying to capitalize on that, even though we had just had prior to that, one of it might have been The Force Awakens, but people were saying, "Oh, you just had Harrison Ford, and he was in the movie, and now you're trying to show a younger version of him, and it just doesn't work in that way." I think that that could still be the case, but if that movie had came out in December like they were placing other movies, there'd have been nothing else out, and it would have just been able to keep gaining a little bit more traction each week until some movies started coming out in like February or March. But because they placed it in May in the summer against other movies that were coming out that were, I think, more well received, it just kind of
Hmm.
ended up not doing as well. And I don't know if that movie, if it has, you know how the prequels have had a bit of a turnaround in terms of public perception. At least it feels like to me, because I remember when I was watching those movies in the theater, there was a little bit of that, "Hey, we're back. This movie's great." And then upon multiple viewings, you're like, "Hey, we're here. This movie's all right." And
Hmm.
then more viewings after that, you're like, "Okay, hope it gets better." 'Cause at first, it was like you're just happy to have a Star Wars movie, and it's just like, okay, it just starts to fall apart the more you watch it. But I feel like now when people talk about the prequels, they're more revered than they were at the time. And so it's like had a facelift or a turnaround. And I feel like I don't know if that's happened with Solo, if people still think of it as not being great, or if they were to look at it and revisit it, be like, no, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
I would say there hasn't been enough time yet for that.
Yeah.
Because, and for me, and it's funny, I'll bring up a story I just brought up, I think yesterday after watching a YouTube video, but I'll get to that. Um, Thinking about how the prequels have definitely like a generation of fans now that really like highly regard it way more than like
Hmm.
when it came out and you and I saw them in the theater. Um, and the general reaction then was pretty negative.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a bit of just having time pass and just romancing those movies in our heads a little bit, or romanticizing them a little bit. But I think it's also just, I think primarily it's that we have it was a younger generation of people that grew up with the prequels and loved it as kids.
Yeah.
And even though us Star Wars adult fans at the time were kind of not thrilled, I think there was a younger fan base that enjoyed them, and now they're older, and so there's a lot of prequel fans out there that weren't there before. The thing I'd come across, it was funny. I was watching it was a video from Ordinary Adventures, Peter Soretta's YouTube channel, and they were looking at Star Wars stuff over at in Galaxy's Edge, and the subject of Ewoks comes out, and he was randomly talking about how like the Ewoks were hated when that movie came out. And that's the one aspect for me that I can relate to in terms of Star Wars. It's like I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater. I'm going to date myself. We can date ourselves in that regard. But I was a kid. I mean, I was pretty young, and I loved the Ewoks. They were great. And I always have grown up as a Return of the Jedi fan that really had never had an issue with Ewoks. I didn't even bump against it ever. Like, so to me, when I hear the stories of, oh yeah, the reaction to the Ewoks was really negative back when that movie came out, I'm like, I was a kid. I didn't really know any of that or think about it. And I thought they were always fine. So it's kind of like the prequel thing in a way.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think I was probably in fact, I am older than you, but I think when I saw Return of the Jedi at that time, as not being an adult or anything, but I'm not that old, but I was old enough to where when I saw that movie, I did not like the Ewoks. I thought,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I was like, what is this? What are these things? Like, why are they in this movie? And I remember not liking the fact that that whole thing, like, it just bothered me because it kept cutting to that. It keeps cutting to the moon of Endor throughout the movie, and so I'd be like, go back to where Luke and Vader are. I don't want to see them on the planet because it's boring to me. I did not like it, and I did not like the Ewoks. I guess I've grown to sort of, as you say, kind of like romanticize that aspect of it, and now I don't even think about it. They don't bother me in that way that they did when I was younger. And even when I would watch it when it would replay on HBO and stuff like that, I would always fast forward through those parts of the movie. I would
That's
honestly
hilarious.
just yeah. I did not watch it for the longest time.
Yeah, and like I cannot relate to that at all. I just never.
Yeah.
I mean, how old was I when that was 83 when Return of the Jedi came out, right?
Yeah, I think 83 or 84 or something like that.
So yeah, I was 5, and I remember waiting in line to see that movie the day it came out, and I was young. I thought the Ewoks were fine. I don't know, like, and I've always thought they were fine. It's just that's one of those things where because I was young, I didn't have preconceived ideas of like what Star Wars should be really ingrained in me yet, if that makes sense, or to the point where I would be like, this is what I want next out of a Star Wars movie. I was too young to think of it that way. Like,
yeah, it makes sense. I especially at 5, I totally get that you wouldn't be you're impressionable enough to have it leave an effect on you, and you're at that right age to where something like a Ewok would be enduring. But I think to me at that time, I remember thinking about the Ewoks as being kind of like Care Bears. And Care Bears was like for little kids to me. So I just did not like Ewoks for the longest time.
Lido mentioned, and now we have Jar Jar Binks fans, and
Yeah.
I feel like Jar Jar Binks definitely has a following, if you will. I don't know if that's the way to put
You
it.
almost sounded like a Jar Jar just then.
I
Your
was
voice
I
was
was I
high
was not
pitched.
trying to do a Jar Jar thing there. I know there's definitely a big fan support out there for, and I can't remember the actor's name that played
Ahmed
Jar
Best.
Jar, Ahmed Best, yeah, and I totally get that. Like,
Yeah.
he had his appearance in Mandalorian, which was awesome as a Jedi.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I definitely all for the like fan support that he gets. Now Jar Jar, that's whatever.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be straight up and I'll be honest with you and everyone that's watching right now.
Oh man, this is
I
gonna be good.
Now, you know what? I don't like Jar Jar, but there's certain times where I like what he was doing that I
Okay,
laugh at. I couldn't help myself but laugh at certain, and all of that honestly is all restricted to the first movie. Eh, Anything after that I did not, and to be fair, they started to cut back on him after that first movie.
yeah,
But there's things in which in the first movie that his silly slapstick humor did get me to laugh a few times. But that's why I've never quite absolutely hated the character, but I definitely still didn't like the character. I
right.
just didn't have the vitriol and the overcoming feeling of just anger when he appeared on screen that some people had. So I for me he wasn't as bad as that, but nevertheless I still didn't think he was necessary.
Right. No, I mean, and you mentioned I love Jar Jar and Ewok. Sorry, guys, it's my age. Um, yeah, I get it. Like, but I definitely was immediately not a fan of him when I saw Phantom Menace in the theater, as I think a lot of us were not a fan.
Yeah.
But there was something I was gonna say. No, I can't remember. I think we went off on a tangent. It's okay.
From you're talking about from our Star Wars talk or our
Yeah,
rankings
yeah,
and stuff like that?
yeah. Our Star Wars talk, but I it's fine. I can't remember. I think I'm getting caught up and working on this, and I'm realizing, oh wow, we really need to wrap it up soon.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
I know this is like the time flew by today.
the time did
Wow.
fly by, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to have to end, but I have to go to sleep and go to work in the
That's right. I
morning.
forget. For those of you guys who are watching us, David is in the East Coast in
Yeah.
Florida, and I'm on the West Coast in Southern California. So for me, it's only 7 o'clock. So for you,
Mm,
it's is like right around the time when you're usually signing off. You're like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta get some sleep.
I
Gotta go to
do.
work in the morning. So then, before we do sign off, there was a couple other little things I wanted to mention.
All right.
That was in the movie news sphere. Um, there was casting today, some more movement for the Lanterns TV show, which is coming out on Max.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, so they announced today that Nathan Fillion will be appearing on the Lanterns show, which means that Guy Gardner will be on the Lanterns show.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and I was like, this makes sense to me. And I was hoping that this would happen because I think this is a good way to lay the groundwork for the fact that this is one DC universe all connected. If you see him in Superman this summer, then once Lanterns comes out, and hopefully Superman is good, but then once you see Lanterns come out and see that character in there, it connects. It'll make sure that you know that this is all one universe. Because I do expect that the tone, whatever the tone ends up being for Superman, I do
Mm-hmm.
expect that the tone of Lanterns will be still different and tonally like darker to a certain extent just because of the people who are show running it were the same people who did um what's the show's name, David? I'm all of a sudden just blanked out on the show.
That
The
that are
True
show running the
Detective.
lanterns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True Detective. So I
Okay.
expect it to kind of have that kind of tone and vibe to it, which I imagine has to be different than Superman.
I would imagine. Um, I kept seeing that still image that we saw of that character from the trailer, which looks just so goofy, and trying to match that with what it seems like they're going for with the Lantern show. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, Like, I know this will make sense, but okay. I guess I'll just have
Yeah,
to see it.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that show. I really want to see how that ends up turning out, especially for me, since even though it's not within the James Gunn DC universe, I really, really love the Penguin. So
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's their template in terms of how to get it right. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect them to drop the ball with lanterns. And even in a recent interview I saw with the showrunner, he said, don't don't think that there won't be the sci-fi element and the quote unquote space magic in this show. And I was like, oh, that's good to hear, because there is easily a world in which they strip it back so far that you're only seeing them use their powers like in the most basic and kind of boring ways, that you would just like trying to ground it, that they forget the fantastical elements and the superhero elements of what the lanterns are. But it doesn't sound like they are. So I'm like, ooh, okay, good, good.
Right. Yeah, I'm very curious. I mean, I'm curious obviously with anything in the new DCU. I wanted to say DCEU, but no, DCU. Um just because all we've seen so far are the, trailers and such for Superman. And
Mhm.
yeah, they're shooting Supergirl right now. Um but yeah. I mean, I guess we've had Creature Commandos, which I
Hmm.
don't know that
Hmm.
we've ever actually discussed. And again, we do need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But,
And I don't know
um,
if that you ever actually saw it.
I did
I
that. I
didn't even remember
watched.
that you even saw. So yeah, maybe next time.
Uh,
And for Ice, you didn't hijack the show. We talk about whatever and anything.
oh
And
yeah,
we like more than just the superhero genre. It's just one of those things that's kind of near and dear to me because I grew up reading comics and stuff. But no, we like pretty much everything across the board when it comes to film and TV. So if
right.
there's ever anything you want to mention and talk about, we're open to, as long as we've seen it, obviously. But yeah, I think we're pretty much willing and able to talk about pretty much anything.
Yeah, agreed. Um, yeah, I think we probably, unfortunately, as much as I kind of want to keep going, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. Feel bad. I'm gonna say on Sheepsville Part Two. I'm gonna say goodbye to. If anything, I'm already liking this a lot better than Sheepsville. Hey, thanks for the follow. Nice coffee. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm already enjoying Sheepsville Part 2 better than I am Part 1. The sequel is, I think, looking okay. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna wrap things up. As always, we'd love to hear back from all of you guys. Like your comments here on Twitch, but you can also find us on Instagram and X, and soon to be some other platforms at Flickr_effect. If you're not watching us here on Twitch, yes, we are live streaming our record sessions on Twitch nowadays on Monday nights. So look for us on Twitch at the same place, Flickr_effect.
Same place, approximately the same time.
Yeah,
Around
yeah, exactly.
5:30 my time, 8:30 your time.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. Sorry, now I hear like super loud crickets in my headphones.
I
Like,
kind of tuned them out. I can hear it in my head too.
like
Too.
suddenly
I
they
tuned
got
them.
really loud. I think I turned them off to the stream. But anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully see you next week. Bye bye.